to my knowledge, Swedish pop star, superstar, diva Zara Larsson behind me, has never directly advocated for free will skepticism. However, in many of her songs, and one in particular that I'll be reviewing today, show deeply how she and lots of society is on the cusp of breaking through the long neo-Descartesian view that there is a freedom of the will that we all contain. The primary free will of our society is one that posits top-down control from some sort of ghost or soul. Now, I know this goes against what the compatibilists will say, as they do adhere to the metaphysics of determinism, yet they remain mostly because of moral responsibility in the camp that, yes, we have free will. If one were to have access to technology that allowed them to return to the exact moment an decision occurred, free will believers think that someone else could have done something different. Now, I won't be arguing directly for determinism, only, like my diva Zara Larsson here, for free will skepticism, why it matters, and what it can do for us. Free will itself is so enshrined in our society, specifically the United States, that in the 1970s, a Supreme Court state legally put it into law that we have free will. Not only do I believe that free will is an illusion, but an illusion that creates immense suffering when societies apply it as a dogmatic axiom. This desert-based mode of punishment and reward and blame. Not looking forward. It's not a consequentialist sort of idea. It's this inherent punishment that wrongdoers must endure because, well, just because. There really is no foundation or ability to justify moral responsibility in this manner where we punish people the way we do in our society. Now, this isn't to deny agency for organisms in performing behaviors, but it posits that the behavior can only be explained by the culmination of all previous causes, not moral decay or demonic takeover. You can't escape your genes, nor can you escape the environment that built them. You are the culmination of every previous cause. Some of us have what we like to call bad luck, but it's just a series of unfortunate events, good book, that we have no control over. These things just happen to us. In fact, we can see this in different human societies. So for example, if you were born into an agriculturalist society, one that's farming grains, making breads, you have more amylase genes. Amylase is used to break down starches, breads. You have more of these genes than people from hunter-gatherer societies who aren't using grains. In fact, it even goes further. The dogs in agriculturalist societies have more amylase genes to break down starches than dogs in hunter-gatherer societies. Is it your fault that you can't eat bread? Why is it your fault for anything else? That is my challenge to free will. Zara will show this as well. You know, babies born, on the topic of music, babies born in individualistic cultures, can't speak sometimes, their mothers sing to them at a much higher pitch in tone than mothers do to their babies in collectivist cultures. All of that forms who you are, and it's unavoidable. It's that one future built on all the previous causes. Your life and everything that makes you, you, was set in motion from the moment the universe began expanding. If the universe began at all, not a physicist. You have no deeper control over your behaviors, nor especially how those behaviors or thoughts arise in your mind. You simply experience them. And few people get this, like Zara Larsson. In 2017, she had a hit named Not My Fault. And Zara shares the experience of what it is like to be controlled by the will. Now, there's a little Schopenhauerian reference to the will there. I do use the will slightly different than Schopenhauer because I reject his idealistic metaphysics. But nonetheless, same concept. Schopenhauer didn't believe that you could control the will. Neither do I or the other Zara Larsson. So, in her song, she goes, "It ain't my fault you keep turning me on. It ain't my fault you got me so gone. It ain't my fault I'm not leaving alone. It ain't my fault you keep turning me on." The process of attraction, and excuse me for using such scientific and reductionist terms, mating, show the illusion of free will tremendously. And Zara Larsson is pointing this out in her song. Zara is expressing to us that her attraction for this mystery European dance clubby man is no fault of her own. She could not have done anything but feel this sexual tension and act upon it. Zara could try to explain why she believes there's a level of attraction for him, but she wasted no time to attempt to engage in these illusions of false narratives. She could do nothing else but feel attraction. There's no way to account for the differences in attraction we feel towards our fellow humans outside the bounds of hard determinism and free will skepticism. That being that we are built on all previous causes. Again, we lack the top-down control that compatibilists or libertarians would posit. And you can do this on your own, thinking about who you have attraction to and who you don't. So, for example, Ilona Mayer, rugby superstar, fantastic, deeply attracted to Ilona Mayer. But I feel nothing for Gail Godot, who is, by all means, conventionally attractive. What can account for this? Now I can make up reasons why, but the real answer is it's rooted in every previous cause. When Julio Rodriguez or Brian Wu show up on my TV screen when I'm watching Mariner baseball, chest gets pumping. But when I see Chris Pratt, I don't feel anything. All three men are, again, conventionally attractive, but there's differences in attraction that you simply can't account for except for the culmination of every previous cause. I could try to sit here and account for everything I think is causing my attraction, but it's foolish. My attraction to Tate McRae and Zara's to this mystery clubbing man were both formed by every previous cause. And this line of thought matches well with my theory of belief. That is, we do not actively choose what we do not believe. Of course, we can attempt to rationalize these beliefs. We can try to argue for them. But the belief itself, the feeling you have, is built on the culmination of every previous cause. The rejection of free will has massive impacts on our society, most notably in moral responsibility, crime and punishment, those sort of things, the justice system. Now, moral responsibility and punishment would be impacted the most, like I previously stated. If agents are not the ultimate source of their actions, ought we still hold them to moral standards and or punish them? And this isn't to say that we should completely abolish any system of justice. And our favorite bubblegum pop star knows this well. Back to her song. She says, "No, I can't be responsible. If I get you in trouble now. See, you're too irresistible. Yeah, that's for sure." So Zara is appropriately identifying how moral responsibility completely breaks down under free will skepticism. Moral responsibility at its core, my hands are shaking, I apologize for this. At its core is about punishment, reward. It's this backwards looking, desserts based system. One that can't really be justified outside of maybe a historical argument where one says, like P.F. Strawson says, it's human nature. Now, this is rejected by anyone who can look at anthropology or history and say that these systems aren't just human nature, and many different cultures have evolved different systems that take out this sort of moral responsibility that we have in the West. So if we aren't the primary initiator of our behavior, meaning obviously if I do this, no one's going to know I'm the one picking up this PS5 remote. I'm picking up the 5 remote, right? Picking up the 5. But I could only have done that because of every previous cause. So it would make no more sense to punish somebody in a dramatic, in a deserving way, more than it'd be justifiable to punish a hurricane, because they're both built on every previous naturalistic cause. And this isn't to advocate for murderers to just run free, but rather to be epistemically and ethically consistent with how reality is presented to us and apply that knowledge to those around us. We ought to protect individuals from both murderers and hurricanes without applying hatred and punishment for the damages caused by both. This may appear outlandish at first, and it goes against many people's intuitions. Though if we were to stifle progress when the evidence led us something against our intuitions, we would never progress. So Miss Zara Larsson sees that free will, you should be skeptical about free will, as it doesn't exist, and what that means for society, how it can improve all our lives. When we take out the punishment, the indignation that we feel towards others, that initial gut reaction that many of us have, that has been built upon our society's view of how people form, our theory of belief, our theory of mind. We take a very Descartes' view of dualism, where we posit that there's this ghost that has control over the more physical reality. And I don't think that's helping anyone. I don't think the state punishment, capital punishment, beating people, torture, doesn't solve anything. We ought to reconcile. We ought to be able to reconcile with others and still avoid letting criminals, people who commit crimes, run rabid down the streets. And Zara Larsson knows this, and she's amazing.